This is weird. Perfectly.
My foot right next to that one. That is insane. Hello, anyone here? Bigfoot, are you hiding in here? Guys, this shed has seen better days.
Every authentic Bigfoot encounter begins with the chilling realization that you are not alone. Imagine finding massive 16-inch tracks circling your home in the fresh snow, or watching a towering figure suddenly rise from the brush just yards away. If you face the unknown, would you run or freeze? On March 16th, 2026, the YouTube channel Mo Sargi, known for exploring remote locations and investigating unexplained activity, searched his own 200-acre forest as the snow began to melt. What started as a simple survey quickly turned into something more serious as he decided to follow the tracks into the forest. The video begins with Mo flying a drone over his forest to check the land as the snow melts. From above, he spots a series of large, unusual footprints in the northern section of the property. The marks stand out clearly against the snow. He decides to head out on foot to investigate.
Well then, I need to put some more trail cams out there. Yesterday when I was working here, I was hearing a lot of gunfire. I saw nothing, but I didn't see any of those footprints. So if there isn't a legal hunter out here, we're gonna have a problem. Now keep in mind, I don't know for a fact if these are the same footprints as big footprints. Yeah, it looks like something walked through here too. We got some fresh poop. These just look like animal tracks over here. There's always something going on this property. Damn, I'm in like deep water? How? This is crazy. Gotta figure out where those prints are. But it's not super deep like before, right? Like before it was up to our knees. All right, so I did see these on the drone. Let's see what these ones are. Yeah, see, that's not fresh, but look how big they are. What could have caused, like, look at this. There's a bunch of them.
While following the trail, he mentions hearing a gunshot the day before, raising the possibility that someone else may have been in the area. As he walks deeper into the forest, the ground becomes wet and uneven due to melting snow. Soon, he begins to see the footprints up close. They are large and pressed deep into the ground. He places his boot next to them and shows that they are much bigger than his own size. The tracks continue forward, leading him further into the forest.
I don't see any footprints here because it's all grass now, right? At the abandoned shed. Hello, anyone here? Bigfoot, are you hiding in here? Guys, this shed has seen better days. What do you guys think I should...
Still, he continues moving along the path of footprints. Along the way, he comes across an old, broken wooden structure that appears out of place in the forest.
These have to be like today. What the hell? Yo, oh my god, look at these ones! What the hell? This is insane. Oh my god. My foot right next to that one. That is insane. That's like, I'm size 11, that's like size 15, 16.
The footprints remain visible and consistent, stretching across both snow and muddy ground. He compares the size again and notes how fresh they look. The trail leads him toward an abandoned shed. As he reaches the structure, the tracks begin to fade where the snow disappears, leaving only patches of grass and animal droppings nearby.
And they just keep going that way. Whatever that was, it's gone.
While standing near the shed, a low and unfamiliar sound suddenly comes from deeper in the forest. At first, it is unclear what it is. Then it becomes louder, sounding like a deep growl or a human-like noise. Mo stops moving and listens carefully. The sound continues briefly. He chooses not to move forward and instead hides in a nearby spot, staying completely still. For several minutes, he waits in silence. The forest becomes quiet again, and no further sound is heard.
Oh, it's so muddy. It's so muddy. Oh yeah, let's go. Holy moly, look at all the water here. It's like a swimming pool. All right, so the key is not stop. You rock it back and forth, gain a little bit of grip. Holy shit, that got really deep for a second. That scared me, that got really deep for a second. Oh yeah, the swamp has definitely flooded this area here, but nothing I can't handle. Holy. Yeah, the swamp is overflowing. That is crazy. All right, we made it through at least. Yeah, there it is. That's private property right here. Okay, that's good to know.
After this moment, he decides not to continue in that direction. Later, he uses an ATV to explore other parts of the property. He drives through flooded trails and muddy areas, sometimes struggling to keep the vehicle moving. Along the way, he passes through a swampy section and discovers more abandoned cabins deep in the forest. The exploration ends without a clear encounter. The tracks, the sound, and the location remain unexplained. Some viewers believe the footprints are strong evidence, while others question details like their shape and spacing. The sound adds another layer that is harder to explain. So, what do you think? Unusual but natural signs, or something still not fully understood? In January 2025, a man stepped outside his rural home to check game trails after fresh snow had fallen. Instead of deer tracks, he found massive humanoid footprints, roughly 16 inches long, spaced more than 40 inches apart. The stride alone ruled out any human, even at a full run. That same night, he went back outside and noticed two glowing points at the edge of the tree line. Eyes, fixed on him, unblinking. The figure stood in complete silence, watching him and his dogs for several minutes before slowly stepping backward into the trees and disappearing. The YouTube channel Sasquatch Theory later shared his footage. Since then, the man reports hearing wood knocking from the forest regularly after dark. Each piece on its own might have an explanation. Together, they're harder to wave off. Do you think it came back because of him specifically? Or does it do this with everyone nearby? In early September 2024, a camper named Jack was on a fishing trip with his father at the Boundary Waters Canoe Area Wilderness in Michigan. The area is remote in a way most people never experience. Miles of unbroken forest in every direction. No cell service. No other people within earshot. The only sounds were wind moving through the birch canopy and the occasional crack of a branch somewhere in the distance. When Jack walked away from camp to gather firewood, he noticed a shape standing between two birch trunks about 50 yards ahead. His first instinct was black bear. He stopped, controlled his breathing, and waited for it to drop to all fours and move off. It didn't drop. It rose. Whatever had been crouching in the undergrowth came up to its full height, and Jack understood immediately that it was far taller than any bear he had ever seen. He got 3 quick photographs before the creature released a low, guttural growl that resonated in his chest and seemed to come from all directions at once. It turned and drove into the forest, snapping branches as it went. The sound faded over several seconds before the woods went completely silent. Jack and his father broke camp before sunrise the following morning and paddled out without completing the trip. Neither of them said much on the way back. What stayed with Jack wasn't the growl. It was the moment just before, when the creature stood up and he understood it had been watching him walk toward it the whole time. It let him get within 50 yards before it moved. That's not a startled animal. That's something that was deciding. Do you think it would have stayed hidden if he'd stopped walking toward it? On April 7, 2026, the YouTube channel The Stealthy Maltese Falcon, known for outdoor exploration and searching for mysterious creatures, set up camp deep in the Cascade Mountains of southern British Columbia, Canada. The video begins inside a large camping tent designed for comfort. The group uses beds, thick sleeping bags, and organized gear. This setup is different from basic camping and shows they plan to stay for a while.
Wow, I didn't see all this rain coming, guys. Stealthy Maltese Falcon here out on another Bigfoot hunt. We're over in the Cascade Mountains, southern British Columbia, middle of a beautiful rainforest.
Outside, in the rainforest, the creator explains their goal is to find Bigfoot. The team sets up bait by hanging pieces of meat from tree branches. Each one is placed about 50 feet apart, forming a wide arc around the camp at a distance of about 100 meters.
We've hung meat from the trees every 50 feet, about 100 meters out, just to draw them in, see if we can't get some action here. This is what a rainforest looks like.
They then explore deeper into the forest and come across a large boulder. This is often considered a positive sign, suggesting the search may be moving in the right direction.
This is a good sign, guys. I don't know why, but when you come across these big rocks, that is where Bigfoot have been known to be seen the most, in these geography with the large boulders in the middle of the forest. They don't know why, but it's a thing. Look it up on the internet.
Later, the group returns to the tent and waits. Nothing happens for a long time. Suddenly, a sensor placed near the bait is triggered. Everyone quickly leaves the tent and moves toward the source. The direction leads back to the same boulder they saw earlier. What happens next is only revealed through the camera.
Okay, one of the meat hook sensors has gone off. Let's go. There's that rock. I knew that rock had something to do with it.
A large figure appears to move steadily through the trees, walking calmly across the forest. Some viewers believe moments like this could be real evidence, while others think it may be a natural reaction to wildlife in the area. Situations like this are not always clear. So what do you think? Was something truly there, or just part of the environment reacting in the dark? A carpenter hiking alone through a Pacific Northwest forest had a rear-facing GoPro mounted on his pack. He walked for over an hour with no sense that anything unusual had happened. Later, reviewing the footage at home, he saw it. A broad-shouldered figure, partially hidden behind a tree trunk, leaning out just enough to watch him pass. It held its position. It never followed. It simply observed, with the kind of stillness that suggested this wasn't the first time. He shared the video online. He hasn't been back to that trail since. A figure that leans out to watch but never moves closer. That's a specific kind of behavior. It wasn't startled, and it wasn't hiding. Do you think it was curious, or did it already know exactly what he was? An Instagram page dedicated to cryptid content received a trail camera submission from a viewer in Ocala National Forest, Florida. The camera had been set along a game trail to track deer movement. Instead, it captured a bulky, fur-covered figure standing behind a fallen tree, fully upright. No wild apes exist anywhere in Florida. Whatever stood behind that fallen trunk was either a remarkably committed hoaxer operating deep inside a national forest with no one watching, or something the camera was never meant to find. Florida is flat, warm, and heavily monitored. Not the kind of place most people associate with this. But the footage keeps coming from there anyway. Do you think the location makes this more credible or less? A TikTok user named Tim's Time Zone shared footage from his property in Alaska after stepping outside one morning to feed his chickens. What he found in the fresh snow stopped him cold. Massive impressions marked the ground, each footprint so large that 4 of his normal steps fit inside a single stride. Some prints were spaced nearly 8 feet apart. They were human in shape but far beyond human proportions, and the depth of each track indicated something of immense weight had passed through. He had lived there his whole life and never seen anything like it. Something crossed his property overnight, close to his home, close to his animals, and left nothing but tracks. Prints that size don't leave many explanations. Do you think it was just passing through? On April 4th, 2026, the YouTube channel Let's Get Lost, known for remote camping and wilderness exploration, traveled to Vancouver Island, Canada. The area around Nitnat Lake has long been linked to reports of a large, unidentified creature. The team set out to camp in one of its most active hotspots. What they found was not clear proof, but something about the place felt wrong from the start.
We just pulled into the small town of Nitnat, trying to get some information or a lead on somebody we can talk to get the First Nations backstory on Sasquatch.
The trip begins with the team arriving in the Nitnat region, an area rich with wildlife and known for its strong connection to local First Nations culture. In these traditions, the creature often called Bigfoot is not seen as a monster, but as something that belongs to the forest. This idea sets the tone before the group even enters the deeper wilderness.
All right, so we made it over top of the ridge now, and we're down near the water. We're gonna be heading up the coastline. There's the old abandoned recreation site up on that point, and so it's gonna be a good night on this pretty secluded location. So we've arrived down at Knob Point, and then right up behind us, Nitnat Lake. So this is a pretty isolated area. We're gonna get our camp all set up, and then we're gonna go for a walk up the old road that goes along the base here, and go set up some game cameras. I ain't even gonna step in there, the floor's rotted out. Definitely an isolated wreck site. We're gonna walk down the road here, go look for any signs. See what we can find. Right down in here, all the shrubbery is all kind of pushed over. Right down there. All of the slough is actually pushed over. You see two little splits.
They make their way to Knob Point, a campsite that has been closed and left abandoned for years. The area is overgrown and quiet. Before setting up camp, they recall a story from 2003, where a group reported seeing a large figure moving in an unusual way, almost like a primate. The story is brief, but it adds tension to the location.
But to help us out, to see if anything snoops around camp tonight, I got two game cams. I'm gonna put one here, kind of facing towards a tree there, and there is that game trail that runs down to our camp, and then I'm gonna put one down near the bay there. So I'll get this all set up.
Once settled, the team places motion-activated cameras around the site and uses apples as bait near animal trails.
We all just crawled into our tents for the night. We did a couple of wood knocks, but nothing really strange happened. Heard a couple weird sounds. Sleep now, and we'll see what the night holds. If anything strange happens, I will let you know. Nothing really happened last night. It was quiet. It was peaceful down here. I don't really know what's on these cameras till I get home, but
Our apple is still here, untouched.
nothing's really changed.
The game cam's gone!
As night falls, they try making wood knocking sounds, a method some believe can attract responses from unknown creatures. Nothing happens. The forest remains still, with only faint and unclear noises in the distance. By morning, the cameras show activity around midnight, but there is nothing visible in the footage. The bait remains untouched.
We're in Port Renfrew. The First Nations tribe down the beach here has stories of seeing Sasquatch down on this beach. All kinds of stories of loggers out there working on equipment and having rocks thrown at their service trucks. So tonight we're gonna head off into the mountains and go see what we can find out there. See if we can get a strange encounter as well.
So 20 years ago, my buddy and I were headed out bear hunting for the day. He's seen bigger bears in the previous months. So I put my truck in gear and I start cruising out, and I look down to my left and I go, "What the heck is that? What is that?" And he looks over the window and he goes, "Where?" And I'm like, 75 yards straight down to our left. It started walking on 2 feet. "Do you see what I see?" And he goes, the hair looked like darkish black hair on it with brown mixed in.
Yeah.
is walking perfectly normal on 2 feet. Eye contact, yeah, looking right at us. He's about 75 yards away from us.
What was the shape of it? Like the face and the body?
Well, it's over 7 foot tall, this creature.
Yeah.
Hairy all over except for the belly. And the face was hard to really make out the eyes, but the face was completely hairy, long hair on the top of its head. And it stopped there and looked at us for another few minutes. It kept on looking at us and walking across the road into the thicker part of the bush again, and turned around and looked at us one more time.
Yeah.
And then it disappeared and it was gone.
Show everyone in the world what you've seen 20 years ago. What do you think they'd be most shocked about?
Whether they'd be most shocked about is that there's Bigfoot.
The team then travels to Port Renfrew, where they speak with a local hunter. He describes an encounter from years earlier. While moving through a forest road, he saw a large, hairy figure standing upright. It was over 7 feet tall. What stood out most was not its size, but the moment it stopped and looked directly at him. The encounter ended quickly, but the memory stayed. From there, the group heads deeper into a remote forest area rarely visited by people.
All right, after quite a bit of bushwhacking, I think we got to a location that barely ever sees humans. There's 3 roads that split off, and they're all really, really old and overgrown, and there's game trails. So this is going to be our camp for the night up on top of the mountain. We're going to go explore these game trails here.
While moving through the terrain, they come across a strange structure. A large dead tree is suspended between living ones, positioned in a way that does not seem natural. There are no roots attached, and no clear explanation for how it got there.
This is weird. Perfectly. There's this freaking branch. Yeah, look at it. Wedged between all these trees. Perfectly.
It is, considering where's the rest of it.
I know. You can see like the end, there's an end snapped off there where it's basically rotted and fallen on the ground.
The deeper they go, the more signs of wildlife they notice, including tracks from predators like cougars and bears. As night comes again, they set up cameras once more and repeat their attempts to make contact. This time, they use a piece of old bone to create knocking sounds in the darkness.
All right, we got a game cam positioned right here. We're on this game trail. I seen this branch that was wedged in between all these trees. So we're gonna put some apples.
You put it right there between them.
And I'll put an apple right here. All right, so on our way up, actually, we found shoulder bone and like a leg bone of some sort, all covered in moss. So we're gonna use these for our knocking tonight.
The night passes without any clear response. In the morning, the cameras show no unusual activity. The bait has fallen to the ground, possibly due to wind. There is still no evidence of anything unusual.
All right, we had a pretty uneventful night. I think I heard a bear or something off in the woods over there at about 5 in the morning. We're gonna go for a little walk here and go check on the game cams and see if they had any activity. Apples on the ground. Could have just been the wind. You see anything weird over there? Did you see anything weird, different? And we got nothing at camera too.
The team ends their trip without finding proof, but the environment leaves a lasting impression. Some people believe encounters like this are not about seeing something, but feeling watched in places where nothing appears. Others think anything out there may avoid being seen entirely. So what do you think? Just stories shaped by the environment, or something still unexplained? That's all for tonight's video. Which encounter gave you chills? Let us know in the comments below. Got your own experience? We want to hear it. And whatever you do, don't miss what's coming next.